freaking go, man. New York Jets football is back. Today, the first practice just ended. We just heard from Aaron Glenn as well. There's a lot of stuff to dive into here. A lot of stuff. First order of business, the Jets actually signed an offensive lineman, former Jacksonville Jaguar, former member of the CFL, also USFL, Samuel Jackson. He doesn't have much NFL experience, but he's 6'5", 325, and had a really impressive college career back with UCF. And it also seemed like there has been an emphasis on this team wanting to bolster up the depth of the offensive line. They worked out 2 other offensive linemen yesterday. Who knows if that changes, right? Is there a potential free agent, another one that they're looking at, or does that end, right? Does the overall interest end after this signing here? But in any case, let's dive into this practice here. Justin Fields, up and down day. It kind of seemed like, according to multiple reporters, when he was on, and when he was off, it was pretty obvious, right? Supposedly there were moments where he held onto the football too long, and then there were other moments where he would make really impressive throws where everything was on time and the ball would end up where it needed to be. But one thing that I thought was pretty cool was it seemed like multiple guys on the offensive side of the football were getting involved, right? Garrett Wilson getting involved. Arian Smith had a really nice play down the field. According to Zack Rosenblatt of The Athletic, he had Fields going 5 for 8 and 11 on 11 drills. And also just something to make a note of, no contact today. So unpadded practice. Does that change tomorrow, right? Thursday? Does it change Friday? I'm not sure. Maybe it's just unpadded for the entire week. But as far as today goes, no full-on contact. Just something to keep in mind here. But again, Fields up and down kind of day. So all things considered, in a quote-unquote light practice day, a non-contact practice day, first day of training camp here, I did like how it seemed like there was an effort to get multiple players, or give multiple players really an opportunity to make plays on the football through the passing attack. And I think really the name of the game here for Justin Fields is really just growth. It's building on what you've done, taking it, one step at a time. We kind of heard Aaron Glenn talk about that in his presser at the, towards the start to the middle of it, which was, just again, one day at a time. Yes, of course, Super Bowl is the end goal, but let's just build. Let's focus on getting better. And I think with Justin Fields, someone who's never really been handed the keys to the franchise, and at the same time had an organization really embrace Fields, whether it be the system, whether it be the coaching staff. It really feels like it's the first time for Justin in this style of environment where it's just like, hey, you're the quarterback one. Here's a system built around you. We really want you here. We really think you are good enough to become a franchise quarterback one day. I mean, they paid him a lot of money. They gave him a multi-year deal. He already has experience working with Garrett Wilson and Josh Myers. Being in this style, being with a new team and a new offense, I'm not expecting Fields to be perfect, especially on day one of training camp, right? That in and of itself, but also understanding he's trying to learn a new offense as well. Quite frankly, I would have been stunned if Fields had a perfect day. But again, the name of the game here for Justin, I think it's just getting better. Next week, is he maybe a little quicker on decision making? Next week, is the ball coming out a little quicker? Next week, is he rattling off plays quicker? I think it's really important for Fields specifically to, again, just stack days, take the daily W's, look at what went wrong, look at the mistakes, get with Tanner Engstrand, get with Charles London, and really try to work to figure these things out. And, in time, I do think, it's just common sense. The offense should theoretically slow down for Fields. He should have a better understanding of it by week 2, by week 3. I don't know what the preseason snap count is going to look like or anything like that, but just the point is, as training camp goes on here, I'm going to assume that Fields, we start to see more positives and less negatives as far as the overall processing and efficiency goes from the quarterback position here. Before we dive into the other standouts and the Aaron Glenn presser, I wanted to give a quick shout out to today's video sponsor, Raycon. So I wanted to give a special shout out to today's video sponsor, Raycon. They actually sent me over the new and improved, the latest version of the everyday earbuds. The latest version now includes the active noise cancellation, which was the one thing that they were missing on the old model. And then if you pair that with the 3 different sound modes, it really makes for a good experience. Personally, my favorite thing about Raycon is the water resistance, right? It's down in Florida. It is extremely hot, right? Middle of the summer. I'll go on walks and runs it'll start raining or I'll start sweating. The last place I want to be is like trying to rush home because I can't let my headphones get wet or they're going to break. It's going to be, this big thing. And now I'm in this kind of panic mode. No, I'm good to go. Good to go. Also, the battery life, 32-hour battery life with 8 hours of playtime as well. And if you go to buyraycon.com/Jetscentral, you'll get 20% off the new updated everyday earbuds plus free shipping. So the link will be listed down below in the description box, QR code on the screen. Thanks so much for Raycon for sponsoring the video. So some other players that had standout days, according to Nick Faria, and by the way, all the reporters' links will be listed down below in the description box. They were out there giving a ton of updates, giving their insight on what their personal takeaways were from this training camp practice. But according to Faria, both Quincy Williams and Jamien Sherwood looked great. Again, understanding it's a non-contact day here, but still, when you're looking at this linebacker core for the Jets, understanding that Steve Wilks has worked wonders with linebackers. Aaron Glenn we've seen a ton of development from the linebacker position. Think of like Alex Anzalone most recently, right? The Detroit Lions took Jack Campbell in the first round a couple years ago. Like, there's a big emphasis on putting responsibility on the linebacker position. Stopping the run, dropping back in coverage, rushing the quarterback, blitzing, covering the middle of the field, being the quarterback of the defense, being the glue between the secondary and the D line, really locking down that second level. It's one of these defensive systems that I would say asks the linebacker position to do a lot more than what we've done before in the past with, Robert Saleh and Jeff Ulbrich. I just feel like there's more on these guys' plate, so it's time for them to step up. I mean, Quincy, we've already seen him perform at a really, really high level. Jamien Sherwood had an awesome season a year ago, and they obviously rewarded him with a 3-year deal. So there's some belief there, making him one of the higher paid linebackers as well, which is really cool. But, there's a lot of expectation on these two guys, and to hear that they're out there flying around looking the part. Again, I know it's early, but it is cool that these guys are both stepping up to the plate on day one. Another player that apparently had an impressive day was running back Braylon Allen, one of my favorite players on this Jets team. Such a physically imposing back. First of all, I love players that aren't afraid of contact, right? On offense, are you going down early? Are you stepping out of bounds? Or are you seeking contact, right? That was one of my favorite things about Tyler Warren coming out of this, from this past draft class. He's like, when he has the football in his hands, he's looking for defenders, almost like internally begging, please come try to tackle me. I'm going to humiliate you. Braylon Allen, it's the same thing. Like, this guy is just a force. Like, when you're talking north and south, good luck trying to bring him down one-on-one. Like, I don't care if you're one of the league's best safeties. It's going to be difficult. We saw that numerous times from Braylon Allen a year ago, and personally, I'm expecting him to take, of course, a jump personally, like individually as a player, but in this style of scheme where it seems like they're going to be utilizing a ton of backs and they're committed to the running game, not like last season where they're throwing it, 30, 35 plus times a game. I think if the method here, if the formula is stay committed to the running attack, Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, Isaiah Davis, maybe Donovan Edwards, who knows, and Justin Fields is really, really encouraging. And again, I do expect Braylon Allen to have an uptick in overall volume at the running back position. But according to multiple reporters here, he's looking explosive. And I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, he's primed for a big year in one day of a training camp practice that's not even, full contact or, anything like that. But all signs, I've heard this multiple times through voluntary OTAs, through mandatory minicamp. Braylon Allen has been turning heads and has been looking very, very impressive. The other player, the other big standout, of course, Garrett Wilson, fresh off the 4-year extension, going to be a Jet for the next 6 years. Man, still crazy to think about. He had an impressive day, connecting with Justin Fields, one of which was a deep pass down the field. Man, if Garrett Wilson can just receive competent coaching and competent quarterback play, I'm not saying, he needs to, we need Lamar Jackson, we need Joe Burrow, we need Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes style of quarterback play. If we could just get league average quarterback play and at the same time feed him the football, dial up plays for Garrett, I mean, really, the sky's the limit. If he goes out there and has a career season this year, I would not be surprised in the slightest. Many Jets fans would not be surprised. It just feels like he's this ticking time bomb of potential, and we're just waiting to unlock him. What are those requirements? Again, competent quarterback play, competent coaching. If we receive both of those two things, I think his production is going to go through the roof. Like potential 1,400 receiving season. Now, as far as the AG presser is concerned, a lot of coach speak, right? Just a lot of typical, hey, it's day one of training camp, focusing just on the daily grind, the daily process, all that kind of stuff. But one major takeaway that I had from the Glenn presser, and by the way, there were some audio issues, so I didn't actually watch the full thing, in its entirety, because some of the questions and the answers were being cut out, just, too much static and stuff. But the one thing that I'm just loving from these Glenn pressers, and also Darren Muji pressers as well, but it's just we've heard from Glenn more often, it seems like there's such a clear picture, a clear plan of attack, a clear roadmap from these guys, where at the end of the Saleh regime, like you're listening to the Douglas pressers, you're listening to the Saleh pressers, it just kind of feels like murky, cloudy, not really having a plan. It's just like random ideas that are being thrown against the wall to see what sticks. And I don't want to come on here and talk about the old regime and dump on these guys or anything, but like in regards to JD, it just kind of felt like the plan: accumulate good players. And then with Saleh, it's just, hey, we're gonna try to work hard, and the scheme works, our systems work here, and we just need players to buy in. Again, with Glenn, it just feels very streamlined, clear. It seems like the players know exactly what they need to do, what they're being asked to do. Very to the point. Now, it's not to say that it's simple or anything like that, but it just feels good understanding that, hey, there's a short-term vision, there's a long-term vision. We understand how this process is. Glenn knows this Jets team, obviously, playing for them, working for them before in the past. Being a former player, right? All these things I feel like are just kind of adding to this pot of positivity. Now, of course, will it work out? How will the Jets respond to adversity? If we go on a losing streak, how do we look? All these questions are still unanswered. We'll only get them in time. But again, up through this point, January through July, I'm loving everything that I'm hearing from these guys, and I have a lot of confidence. I feel like the Jets are finally starting to turn the corner of, hey, you know what? Let's maybe give these guys some power here and shake things up. Adding new guys to the front office, making these big changes, even doing something as simple as swapping the locker room out, right? Adding all these additions to it. Like that's just something that like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I just don't feel like it was in the question, right? Like when JD first took over, or even like Mike McCagnon, Todd Bowles, like, was any of that stuff really talked about? I was watching a press conference, or not a press conference, a podcast a couple weeks ago with Bless Austin, right? Former Jets cornerback, one of my favorite players in that era. Just loved his potential, loved his athletic ability coming out of Rutgers. He had some injury. I felt like the Jets kind of found a steal there with him, and he was ultimately a late round pick. But he was talking about his NFL career and kind of working with the Jets and everything, and obviously that was during the Adam Gase era, where there was just a lot of dysfunction and losing. But one of the things that he mentioned was like walking into the Jets building and kind of being around the facility, like the lights are dim, the walls are all gray. It's just not like an inspiring place, or it wasn't an inspiring place to be. And it seems like Glenn and Darren Muji, they took notice. They're coming in with fresh blood, new eyes, looking at everything, just saying, hey, we got to make some changes here. So hopefully the changes continue. Hopefully they bode well. And man, I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see how this camp unravels. So many different storylines, so many things I'm excited about. So anyway, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. Thanks so much for watching. Merch is dropping tomorrow. I'm freaking pumped for that. Spent a lot of time on it, coming up with different designs and stuff. So yeah, thanks so much. And as always, go Jets.